And the whole of the production for me becomes a metacognitive exercise. All the way through planning, monitoring, evaluating, pre-production, production, post-production.
Yes.
So this is making movies. This is just making a film. Yes. So there's a metacognitive, and to be honest, I'm sure many other creatives and artists will be able to apply this thinking about thinking. But now we're coming on with the course on kind of the deepest level of thinking, the thinking that probably really matters, which is what is your psychological relationship with the reality that you think you have, and that's where it gets even more interesting. And we said quite a while ago, I've got this quote here. We joked about Descartes. He said, "I think, therefore I am," and we said, "Oh well, we're thinking about thinking now. What does that mean? What does that mean for Descartes?" And I said, "Well, I think about thinking, therefore I am connected to the all, the mind, the all mind. For an ability of that level, we're going into a bigger realm, it feels, or a bigger mind."
Yes.
And that was kind of what I jokingly described as 5-dimensional, 5D Descartes, expanded rationalism in the new earth. So and then that's so I was kind of trying to grasp this idea that metacognition works as a personal reasoning process that can kind of only result in the acknowledgement of your direct connection to a greater mind, and or in the language of quantum physics, to a universal superintelligence, otherwise commonly known as God, the creator mind, really, creator. And I'm still getting clear on really expressing how thinking about thinking equals the fact that you're connected to God. But I think it's probably close to what we said about the Descartes quote, really, isn't it?
Well, what you've described is the process of dreaming. And you've got to obviously worked out how to bring people's dreams into a way of being communicated on film.
Well, that's why the production company...
But the starting point is that this is how dreams are made. And the course is talking about the awake state and how different it is to the dream state. Right. So all the thinking that you've been talking about is dream thinking.
Right.
And the thinking of dreams. And dreams are processed. They're a process of thought, whereas true thought is natural. It's not processed.
It's flow state, really, isn't it? What we're talking about,
and
there.
it's awakened thought. It's awake thought, and so we can differentiate the two, and recognize that the awake thought operates quite differently from dream thought. But you've grasped the idea of how dreams work.
Yes, right.
And how to bring them into a visual presentation.
Yeah. Well,
of course, we do that every night. We make movies for ourselves
in our heads,
in our dreams at night, and we use all the thoughts and ideas that maybe we've gathered during our days, and then we bring them together into a nice movie for our night dream. And then we wake up and say, "Oh, I've just had this dream." The thing is, when we're operating like this, and we could say, well, we're having a dream, you and I having a dream of talking into microphones together, with it being filmed, and there are cameras present and the dog's present, and we seem to be in a room with lights on, and there's a garden outside the room. All this is dream state. All of it's dream state.
I know, yeah. And this is funny because, of course, one of the famous production companies is called dream works.
Yeah, absolutely. Very clever. Very
So
good point.
It's
Giving us a clue, isn't it?
it's there for us, really.
Yeah.
In the movie magic, the production, really. But yeah, thinking about thinking was quite interesting in this lesson. But the other line really that stood out to me, and this is where let's get more into lesson now, is to recognize nothingness. When you think, you see it. As such, it is the prerequisite for vision. So,
Yes.
so here's when you're not dreaming, I guess you do have vision. Is that right? Vision is vision.
It says to think about thinking, to think about dream thoughts, to be aware of the difference between dream thoughts and real thoughts. As yet, it's highly likely after, by lesson 10, only at lesson 10, that the only thoughts that you've ever been aware of are dream thoughts.
Yes, yeah.
And so to try and understand real thoughts at this point is not necessarily possible. But to think about thinking is you're stepping back and coming into the awakened state or the aware state. I'm having dream thoughts. I've been believing that these are real thoughts and that I'm actually awake. And I'm actually alive and I'm living in this world. Yeah. I actually have believed all that. So when it says to apply the next bit to that, I'm having dream thoughts, this idea will help to release me from all that I now believe.
Yeah.
I believe I'm alive. I believe I'm having this life.
Yeah.
But I'm actually dreaming of having a life. And so you're thinking about that. You're stepping back and observing that you're dreaming. Now who is observing that you're dreaming?
Yeah.
This is the dreamer of the dream.
Oh, wow.
And so this is quite a significant moment in the course.
Oh, yeah. Lesson. So this is 10 days. If you're doing it, daily, this is 10 days in. I mean, we're doing them weekly. So this will be the 10th week into the year that people will come onto this with us. The word that I particularly picked up on and felt that I didn't understand properly at this point was vision.
Right.
So I went and got a definition of vision and I put this into my musing to get a better understanding for the prerequisite for vision. The course talks about vision quite a lot, and I think many people now are just grasping the concept of Christ vision and all this kind of terminology. But vision's interesting. So vision is noun, the faculty of sight, so eyesight, poor vision, they say. 2, something that is or has been seen. 3, unusual competence in discernment or perception, intelligent foresight. So a leader of vision is the example used there. The manner in which one sees or conceives of something. A mental image produced by the imagination, a vision. The mystical experience of seeing something that is not in fact present to the eye or is supernatural.
Okay.
7, a person or thing of extraordinary beauty. Or a vision, they say, don't they? And then it also, the definition also says it's a transitive verb. So to see in a vision, you can use it that way. But there's a few things that stood out to me as I grasped vision. Unusual competence in discernment or perception. So I feel like that might be the vision the course is talking about. Intelligent foresight. The manner in which one sees or conceives of something. A mental image produced by the imagination. the mystical experience of seeing something that is not there. So already you were talking about dreams. This is a mystical vision, is a mystical experience in this regard. However, we are inside out. So, so is it the natural experience or is it the mystical experience that we're having? And then, of course, a person or thing of extraordinary beauty. So to see in a vision.
Okay.
So
let's talk about that then. So how I see you, I don't see you as a physical body.
No.
I see you as a soul, and a soul that has existed for a very, very long time. In fact, no new souls have ever been made since the original creation of them. So you are a beautiful soul. Now,
thanks, Dad.
the ability,
That's nice.
the ability to see that is called vision.
Right.
And there's only one rule for vision, is that you do not mistake the body for the soul.
Right.
The soul and the body is purely a dreaming device, a means of dreaming. The soul is something that is alive,
yes,
and lives in God's mind and lives in reality.
And
so we differentiate between those two things.
I can see as well. Obviously, the course is kind of setting you up to see things like this, because I really had to consider how I was actually seeing.
Yes.
We've got, I mean, you know, I won't go into it again, but obviously I went through the whole experience of realizing that I can physically only see the past.
Yes, yes.
Then, you know, I kind of had to consider again seeing, and at the moment how I'm looking at you, I have to consider where you are in relation to me.
Okay.
So it's easy for me to say, well, that's easy. You're sitting across in a chair from me. Well, no. If we think back to our materialist paradigm of interpreting images, you are actually appearing on the back of my eye, upside down, being flipped over by my brain, and being interpreted completely in here. So actually, the way I see is not out there.
No,
it's all within. It's all within.
Yes.
So
you're talking about my body again.
I'm talking about your body, yes. But then the second process occurs with seeing for me, is that because you are actually being perceived in my mind then has to attach all of my meaning, my understanding, and everything that I associate with you within me personally. So, you know, obviously I see you as my dad, and I see you as loving, and I associate all of these things that I've had through my whole life and my experience with you. And there you are here with me in my mind, not over there on the chair.
Yes.
So in that instance, I can see the closeness of souls when they recognize what they mean to one another.
Yes, yes, yes. The way you're talking is slipping between
paradigms,
physics
really,
and metaphysics.
Yes,
so you're
right.
slipping between. So if we stick with that I'm a soul, and I'm talking to your soul. I'm trying to talk to your soul, the thinker behind the thought. I am communicating to you that you are dreaming of being a body, and dreaming of a world that goes with that body and all the things in it, and you're actually using the process thought rather than soul thought or spiritual thought to help you to understand this course and what it's talking about.